Hi, welcome on our exhibition ground. My name is Elmar. I want to introduce you our new push-button controllers and room temperature controllers. And here we go, let's get started. So here are our new eye candies. So you discover here absolutely smooth edges, glossy, really a modern and a unique design. And what you discover as well is finally, so here we are talking about a single frame, so absolutely standalone design. And it's a family, it's the start of a family in our KNX product range. And as probably you know, Theben product range is quite huge, and these are the new family members which we are having since approximately a quarter of a year. So I want to make you acquainted with, so that means, so what are the essentials, what are the benefits, and so on. And first of all, I want to make you acquainted, so how the fixation finally is, how simple it is. So I take here, as an example, I take here, for instance, such a push button. There are two hooks, which you discover here on the double frame. It's available a single frame and a double frame. I take here the double frame. You just put it in like that, and then just a soft snap and done. And if you have a second one and you want to fix it as well, so just hook it in and again a soft pull and it's fixed. Beautiful, yeah? And what you discover as well, so the disconnecting is just with a strong push, a pull, sorry. And what you discover here as well, so super flat, yeah, super flat. You do not need a deep flush mounting box or so. You can install it really in really flat flush mounting boxes, however you like it, yeah. So glossy. And what you discover here as well, so there is space for, yeah, let's say for labeling, yeah. So as an example, you can prepare a label or so, transparent cover, and you just clip it in, and that's it. And you have a clear labeling, can use icons or numbers or names or whatever you like, whatever is required from your side or from the customer side. So quite easy, quite simple, and again, super flat. So, well, the iON series is a part of our, yeah, let's say, KNX Secure concept. So basically, we support all these things like IP secure and so on. And when it comes to the field area here, you discover we have here flush-mounted actuators or flush-mounted actuators RF. And the iON series as well is here in the field application. And we have started our field application products, in this case for flush mounting, to support them, to support as well the secure communication in KNX. And all KNX products coming from us, they will be supported as well with this technology, yeah, which is currently more and more on demand in the KNX market, especially when it comes to, let's say, big projects, prestigious projects and so on. Security plays a really essential big role. But you can operate the products unsecure or secure. It's not mandatory that you have to set them in secure mode. You can operate them as well in unsecure mode. No, doesn't matter. And if you want to operate in secure mode, probably you made your own experience meanwhile, probably it's brand new for you. And you have to know that you need the QR code, which is here on each of our products meanwhile, supporting KNX Secure. And this you have just to hold in front of the camera of your laptop, for instance. And the FDSK code means factory device setting code, is imported automatically. Without any typing mistakes, you just hold it in front of the camera and done. Again, can operate secure or unsecure, doesn't matter. So if we come more and more now to the product themselves, what you discover here, as usual, some LED lights, for instance, and the LED lights give you a certain feedback. So how is the current status, for instance? You have orientation light if you like, and these lights are dimmable as well. So you can give them a specific color appearance, depends on the event, what happens in the background. I will show immediately, so a kind of alarm function. Or during the daytime, for instance, your favorite color is like here, is the blue color, yeah, and this blue color can be chosen, orange, blue, violet, and yellow, and green, and further on, or simple white, doesn't matter. So it's adjustable. Even the brightness, the intensity is adjustable. I will show you immediately. When it comes finally to the functions themselves, so what you can do, it's just I/O, it's dimming, or it's open and close blinds, for instance, and so on. So what I can do basically, I will show you immediately. Give me a second and I will give you some insights of the application themselves. The bigger brother, let's say, is the 4-gang switch push button. And all these, the 2-gang and the 4-gang finally, both of these components of these push buttons, for instance, are equipped with the internal temperature controller. So that means you tap the room temperature and can give the room temperature to a heating actuator, which is a controller on its own. Could be, it's just an option, as you like, however. So what does it mean from, let's say, from this adaptation during the nighttime? You know, during the nighttime, if such a beautiful, nice push button like you have here with the iON series, yeah, probably during the night, these LEDs, which are really nicely smoothing, shining, however, but during the nighttime, probably they are too bright and probably is disturbing your sleep, however. So what you can do, there are options. Finally, you can do either, you discover here in the application setting, either they never reduce their brightness, they always reduce. How does it work? So here inside of this push button, there is a brightness sensor included, yeah? And this brightness sensor discovers when it becomes dark in the surrounding, in the ambience, yeah? So then automatically the LED here inside will be automatically dimmed down. So with the darkness, with a, let's say, source, darkness, you control it automatically and it dims down. Or you take the communication from the bus. So for instance, you are using these nice push buttons in public buildings, offices, school areas, however. And when the day is done, so when nobody is in the office anymore, in the school anymore, however, with a bit command which can come finally from a key switch, which can come from a time management system, however, you automatically give the command so all the LEDs during the nighttime dim them down. And this darkness finally you discover, or this dimming value you discover here, so you can adjust here, so your desired, your favorite brightness intensity. So during the nighttime, frank speaking, so we did some testings, so 30% are more than enough during the nighttime. So you have, nevertheless, a good orientation light when you come across and when you walk down the corridor, for instance, you have a good orientation light, and it's nevertheless, it's not really glaring, it's not really bright, shining like during the daytimes, for instance. There is another option. You discover here a different color. Yeah? So you discover here now the red color, and for which purpose you can use that? You have plenty of options. So especially here, you discover, oh, there is an alarm system, so or alarm function. The alarm function itself is not finally the push button itself, but probably you have window contacts, yeah, like here on top. And if a window is open, yeah, you left open, you haven't double checked, so before going to bed or however, or during the night, burglars are breaking the windows, however, and the window contact gives you a trigger, so then the LEDs can start flashing in all of the iON series. Yeah? So with a specific light, I have prepared here, for instance, the red light, or the orange, however, and so you get a flashing, you get an indication one of the doors or one of the windows is open from unauthorized people, for instance. Yeah, I want to show you so how it works. So in the small demo which I had prepared. So then I can show you how it acts, how it works, how it is visible for you, so what you can do finally. So I want to show you in the application setting themselves. So you see down here, here is my demo application, and in my demo application, for instance, I take now here this push button, I put here, for instance, a window contact, and if I press the window contact, you see the LEDs are starting flashing here, 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 and even, if you watch carefully, even in the iON 108, which we talk later on about, so even here the display is flashing and is giving you finally visible feedback. So there is something going wrong, there is something which is not okay, like usual. So for such simple functions, but I think in regards of safety and comfort, I think it's a good application which you can use for it. In regards of the functions themselves, which these push button controllers, push button switches, tactile sensors, which give you, finally you discover here, there is a long list of different functions which you can use. So choose the function you need and you give each of these tactile push button areas the specific function. You want to call up a scene, you want to give a dimming command, or you call up a percentage value, for instance, for a positioning of the slats, or whatever you like. However, you can give them the reasonable function. One function? No, by far more. You discover here, on this side here, you discover here, as an example, T21 is switching, T22 is percentage, and T23 is RGB value. So what does it mean? Specifically in the switching application, you have the option of 3 functions which you can call up with one single push button. Yeah? Press once, you call up a switching command, for instance. You do a double click, for instance. So what happens? For instance, you send your address a value, yeah, or you call up a scene. Long press at the end of the day when the day is done. So then, for instance, you modify from comfort mode down to night mode, to reduction mode, however, of your HVAC system. Yeah? With one single push button, you have 3 different options, specifically for the switching application. When we talk about, that's exactly what you discover here, is exactly the power, finally, of this push button. So when it comes, for instance, to the dimming function, okay, it's not really spectacular, let's say this way. And so you can do either a single button operation, so that means either the push button here on top is finally, for instance, on and brighter, and the one here is down and darker, for instance. So you can do like that, or just a single push button operation. So that means whenever you press, it is on, you press again, it is off, and from this point you dim up or you dim down. So nothing spectacular, but just to make you aware what you can do. And same you get finally with a simple function, which is, let's say, shading controller, so which you can do with these tactile sensors. But you have to know, and this I want to remark at that stage, so you discover here, when it comes to dimming or shading, you have just 2 options. It is press 1, you address a command, you do a double click, for instance, then you can address a second command, for instance, but not the long-term frame is not to be called up in this application. There is a certain limitation in the application finally, so during the, let's say, to the memory locations inside of the controller. What I think it is remarkable, and I want to highlight this specifically, is the sequence function. Pretty often when I check so the KNX forums, chat rooms and so on, so I discover here and there, so how I can do some sequences and how complicated it is and what appliance I need and what I have to link to this and to that and whatnot, and you need logic links and so on. Hey, it could be so easy, sorry to say. With the iON series, 102, 104 for instance, or even the iON 108, so you can call up sequences. So sequence you discover here on top. So you see here you have different steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, so counting up, counting down, for instance. This you can do it just start with a push button. You can start it with a time frame, for instance. And what you can do finally, the functions which could be behind each of the, let's say, single pieces of the sequence. For instance, sequence 1, so the step 1, for instance, is in this case a priority, or is, for instance, a dimming value, or is a HVAC. The sequence 4, for instance, could be a RGB color, a desired color which you want to have. So each of these steps you address, it's just you who address finally the reasonable functions behind. So high flexible, and you do not need any more. You do not need any complicated things like logic links or visualizations or stuff like that. Easy done, yeah? Probably you remember my first sentences. So I remembered, so here in these controllers, there are is one temperature sensor inbuilt. And this temperature sensor can take for the room temperature controlling, yeah? So specifically iON 102, 104, there is no room temperature controller inside, but a temperature sensor. And this temperature sensor, for instance, you can use either to link here on our, for instance here, actuator, and you give, for instance, the value on the actuator to the temperature controller, or, for instance, you do it that way. You have here the reasonable temperature sensor in the iON, and you give it finally down there to the heating actuator, which has a gate, which has a communication object, and this heating actuator, this small fancy tool here in flush mounting design, so he can do the temperature controlling on his own. And you give just a reasonable temperature from the iON side. Powerful, isn't it? So let's have a look, or let's talk about some details about this really nice iON 108. So this is a room temperature controller. When you discover here, so we have here 4 buttons. If you watch carefully, it's just 1 button, 2 button, right? If you watch a few bit more carefully, you will see some arrows to the right and to the left. So that means these are the navigating arrows, for instance. You can scroll through the program, and if you have the right program, for instance, you have here the shutters and blinds. So with the button here, you rise the blinds. If you press here, you lower the blinds, or with a short command, you stop the blinds. You choose another page, which is, for instance, scenes, and with button up and down, you choose the reasonable scene which you desire, or which your client likes to have, for instance. Or you go 1 step further, you press a little bit longer, you hold longer for about 3 seconds, and you can launch your favorite page, which could be, for instance, the temperature control, yeah? And with the up and with the down, you modify the preset temperature of this beautiful room temperature controller. Yeah, so easy to discover, especially you see here in the display, left and right to navigate, up and down to call up, to modify, or to adjust. As well here in this nice iON 108, you have to know that the display as well is equipped with the option to reduce during the nighttime the brightness, the intensity. As well to avoid that you are disturbed in your sleep, however, that the LCD which is illuminated is not so bright shining like usual. From the function side, you discover, okay, here is as well, again, a long list of applications which you can set exactly in this display. Yeah, it's up to you. And the arrangement, which page you have, which function, for instance, it's you. You do the modification, you do the designing, and that's it. And you can arrange as well. If you have a favorite page, press a little bit longer, you decide. So which page you want to launch, which page you want to reach finally. Room temperature controller is included. In total, if you discover here in our page, so you discover here the 20, the magic 20. And the magic 20 means, so these are the maximum functions which you can address, which you can program and design for your project finally. Alarm function is included as well, which you discovered. And yeah, room temperature control means you set here. So your desired values, yeah, if you want to have heating control, if you want to have heating or cooling, which you discover here at that stage here. So that means highly powerful. And if you want, you can have some fan stages. You can as well operate with this nice controller. You can address as well, for instance, our fan coil actuator, which is giving you 0 to 10 volt commands for stepless fan control or to control dampers or so. Ideal combination, ideal couple, this controller and the FCA2, for instance, for the HVAC control. If there are any needs to adjust the measured room temperature, anytime you can adapt, anytime you can modify. And we spend a lot of power that we can widely control the different LED lights, the colored lights, RGB, RGBW, for instance, XY color combination, HSVW, for instance. So with separate objects, yeah. So you can dim any kind of LEDs which you want to have, which you want to control. And okay, we talk about a display. And for which purpose you need a display? To show values, to show any kind of activities, however. And we support as well so the data point 9 functions, like for instance CO2, which you discover here, yeah. So you can display, for instance, a CO2 value which is currently measured in the schoolroom, and or for instance humidity. So there is time to do the airing, time to start the airing, for instance. In the optimum, okay, you take our CO2 controller, which is here, who is caring about the CO2 values, so good airing, good air quality, and as well the dehumidifying or humidifying, however, it's up to you. Ideal couple, yeah, iON and the CO2 sensor in total. And something which is really remarkable. You know, the best most comes to the end. So you discover here there is a label, and this label here is showing you here BLE. And BLE means we have here a communication inside in the iON 108, and where you have BLE as well in your mobile. So, and well, what we did something which is currently spectacular, brand new, nobody currently obviously has. So we can link our mobile directly to this nice appearance of the iON 108. And the application which is programmed herein, we can mirror here on our mobile, and you have your mobile as a remote to operate. And I will make you now acquainted with how to do it, how to manage it. Okay? So for this purpose, we need finally my mobile. So I activate this now. And we open the application, and the application is free of charge. So that means App Store, Play Store, however, you can download the iON app, which you discover here, bottom side left. So I open, yeah, and we have to choose, for instance, a new application, which is already started. So I have here, I add this, now the search starts, and I press OK. Okay, again. So, here we go. So that means we have here, we did here the pairing, and the pairing means you search, you screen your building, yeah, for instance your apartment or your office, however, you screen it, and with the screening the app discovers, is there any iON 108 located? Yes. And in the display of the iON, there is a 4-digit code displayed. And this 4-digit code you have to type in here, and then the link is done, and you have direct communication to the application. What you discover here finally is now I have now a remote. And with the remote, for instance, I can operate, you discover here in my demo case here down there. So all the lights, for instance, are going on. You discover here in the second line, so here in CO2, for instance, the current value which is measured here in the CO2 sensor is here in this room, in this seminar room here, 558, so we can make visible the CO2 values currently. So the terrace, for instance, the operation of the blinds, you discover here, the blinds here are running down on the demo case. I can do step stop, up, down. For instance, I can open here a scenario. You discover here the lights are going on. The outdoor temperature is like 26 degrees, so here inside of our studio is pretty warm, nevertheless. And when it comes, for instance, to the dimming itself, so you can do the dimming smoothly, so you can operate like with a remote, like you are used to, for instance, or you can off the lights, however you like it. So just with this single operation, this simple, let's say, linking of the application to the iON 108. And what is to be added, there is an option as well, especially for hotel applications. And what does it mean? So you can use this iON 108 in a hotel. And for instance, there is a timer which can elapse. So preset it, for instance, after 7 days. So then you have to start the pairing again. If the client is leaving after a couple of days, so this pairing code to your mobile is erased automatically when the client comes back 1 or 2 weeks later and just coincidentally gets the same hotel room like before. So then he has to, let's say, address to do the pairing again. It's nothing which is really complicated, but with this case, we avoid that somebody unauthorized can use his pairing code to operate in some other rooms or in neighbored rooms or whatnot. It's just related to the iON which is in your hotel room. And this timer is adjustable, and that's it. The question is finally, which from time to time pops up, so how many people in a family, for instance, how many can operate with their mobile phone, the temperature controller, for instance, or the living room or whatever? In total, we are talking about 5 people at the same time, and that's it. I think it's more than enough, I would like to say. Yeah, and this is exactly the setting for the time which you can preset in for hotel applications. Yeah, that's it. Deal is done. So that means if you have further questions, don't hesitate, contact us. Or if you're coming from some of these, let's say, listed countries, yeah, here on the right hand of the left-hand side. So these are our subsidiaries, our own Theben subsidiaries around the world. We have partners all around the world, in total 64 countries. And there are specialists, there are people which are really good skill, and they will support you if you have some further questions attached. Okay, so hopefully it was an interesting moment for you, yeah, and see you next time.